everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing well. In today's video, we are going to be starting a new series on my channel where I will be spinning this wheel every week, and whatever, or not every week, but every other week, and whatever expansion pack comes up will be the expansion pack that I will be building a community lot for. So I'm going to show you the wheel spin for this week, and then I'm going to get into the build and also a little bit more about this challenge that I am embarking on. As you can see, I got Discover University. Now, actually, I tested out the wheel before I, spun it for real on camera, and I got Discover University then as well. So I guess it is meant to be, and I've been wanting to rebuild the library in the Discover University world, which is Brightchester. So we will be rebuilding the Laurel Library, which is a 50 by 40 lot in that world. And the idea, or behind this challenge, I should say, is I should build a community lot that incorporates something from the expansion pack. So it can be a theme, it can be aspiration, it can be a skill, a hobby, anything that kind of stands out in the pack or came with the pack. I'm going to be building a community lot for that. It can also be, for example, providing a functional lot where there is a rabbit hole in the world. So for example, I've done this previously where I rebuilt the tiger sanctuary in Tumblr and made it a functional tiger sanctuary. And then I can also do, for example, in Growing Together, the world has a movie theater but it's a rabbit hole, or Enchanted by Nature has a bookstore but it's a rabbit hole. So I'll be building functional lots for that. This is kind of perfect for me because I love building community lots. I've mentioned it several times on my channel. And so yeah, this will be the first community lot, or the first installment of the series. And so I'm going to be building this very large library, and the reason why is because I wanted it to be kind of like a focal point in this part of Brightchester. And obviously it should serve both universities, but I also want it to be a public library, so it does serve, the universities, but not only, because I did include like a section for kids and so on. And I remember when I was at varsity, our library was kind of open to the public as well, and they could sign up and get library cards. So I don't think it's a foreign concept for it to be open to the public, or university libraries to be open to the public. So as you can see, I've done the main structure for this build. Like every other build, symmetry is very important. So I'm going to try and line everything up on both sides. And as you can see, it's going to be huge, but it's because I wanted it to, like I said, stand out in this part of the world. So in the front, you would have seen that I did the stairs on the front. So I didn't want to use a foundation for this lot, because with foundations, whenever you use a platform and stairs with a foundation, everything will slot to the foundation height. So instead, I built the first floor, which kind of looks as a foundation, and I will be using in this build. And then the second floor is actually where the entrance is. And that kind of just allowed me to create this massive staircase in the front that you can kind of see in front there. And then at the back, you would have seen I also created a exit point out of the library, so that Sims have several ways to get out. And then for the outside, I'm going to be using a lot of Discover University, but I'm not going to be limiting the series to only the pack that comes up. The reason why is it's very difficult to create cluttered, lived in and fleshed out community lots with only the expansion pack and the base game. In my opinion, I know that it's possible, but what it will lead to is repeating several objects over and over and over and over again, and the base game doesn't have that much objects. It also doesn't have objects that will go well with certain builds that may come up in this series. For example, if I build a factory, there are some things in the base game that you may be able to use, but a lot of the factory things that we have is actually in Get to Work or in Strangerville. So that's why I didn't want to limit it. I think I can possibly do limited pack builds in the future, but that will mainly be residential lots. And for example, when you have such a big build, to only have Discover University and the base game, it would have been a nightmare, and it would have been much smaller. And it probably wouldn't have been that much less pathetic than the thing that was here before. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry, the one that came with the pack was not cute at all. But I'm gonna try my best to create a cute lot for you guys. And I did playtest this lot, and I think that the interactions between the Sims interacting with different parts of this build was so cute. I'm gonna be making a short on it and I'll post that a bit later. I didn't mention this in the beginning because I always forget, but I think the pop-up would have came up, or I might put the pop-up here now when I'm saying it. But please don't forget to like this video if you do enjoy it and you like the build, and also subscribe if you would like to see more and you would continue, or you would like to continue to observe what I come up with for this series. So for the door over here, I was struggling to kind of find which door I wanted. On community lots, I like to have a glass door, so I didn't want to use any of the other doors that were completely closed. So I used the one from high school years in the front, I think, and then at the back I used the one from businesses and hobbies. And then I think I used the one that is currently on the top floor over there, from businesses and hobbies as well. The stone paint is from businesses and hobbies. I think the one that's like at the bottom on the first floor, that one is from Castle Estates. And then the fencing that you see me use right now is also from Discover University. And I'm gonna use this paint, or floor, what is it called, stone tile thing. It's from Jungle Adventure. And it looks like kind of old. It looks like there's cracks in it and stuff, and the idea is that this library has been here for a long time and has served the community for a really long time, and it's kind of like this monument in Brightchester. That's what I wanted it to give, and hopefully it does. And then I used the roof paint from the new pack, from businesses and hobbies. And then obviously those dormers and all of the roof things are from the Discover University pack. Yeah, I was like glitching out for a little bit because I forgot. But with the roofing, I'm not going to show the roofing, and the thing is, or the reason I did show the roofing, but you know, the top part that I have there is like a flat surface. I do go and I put things on there later on, but honestly it didn't look right. So I just finished taking the screenshots for this build, and what I did was I removed everything from the roof and I just put down a roof with a fence around it, but like really flat. So I put down a gabled roof, I should say, with a fence around it and a really flat, and I didn't put anything else on the top of the roof because it just did not look right. And now what I'm currently doing is I'm just going around and placing vines on the build. This one is from Discover University as well. I think it is in the live edit objects for Discover University. I don't think we get that as a something that you can, or I don't think it's part of the actual objects of the pack. I can't remember. So if you don't find it, it's probably in live edit objects. There's something similar as well from Cottage Living, but I prefer this one over the ones that we got from Cottage Living. And then now I'm just gonna go around and try and landscape this. With these kind of builds, it's always really difficult to figure out what I want to do for the landscaping. I think I've stated this problem of mine many a times, that I do kind of struggle with landscaping when it comes to community lots, but I think I figured it out, and whatever I came up with I do like a lot. I think the openness of certain sections kind of gives it a nice flow. It kind of looks like it's a university campus grounds. At my campus, we didn't have a gated university. Ours was like the entire town. I went to Stellenbosch University in South Africa, so if you've ever been there, because I know I do have South African subscribers, you would know that it's not a gated university. It's like everything is open. Now, everywhere else in South Africa, I think it's gated universities, or like there's one spot where the entire university sits. But with Stellenbosch, the different buildings that you would attend classes in is located like all over the town. So walking was always really fun to class, and I really did enjoy going to Stellenbosch University so much. And yeah, anyways, a little bit about me, I guess. And now you can see I am busy doing the landscaping for the back part of the build. So you're going to see that these flowers kind of repeats throughout the entire landscaping around the bowl, because I was looking around in the area and I saw that, these were the plants in the surrounding areas. And also, they all come from Discover University, except for the trees. We only got one tree with Discover University in the live edit objects, and I didn't like that one, so I used one from the base game. And then this will change a little bit after I do the side sections, because I wanted to place these buns here, but I didn't like how they were on the grass. So I'm going to figure out something there later on. And for the outside section, I will show me landscaping, I think one side only, because I do the exact same thing on the other side, except on the one side I put a bicycle rack, and on the other side I put a bus stop, or like a stop resting area from, I think that one is from Businesses and Hobbies that I found in live edit objects. And then there you can see I created these seating areas with fountains. I'm gonna replace that fountain though with a different one. The one that I like more is from, I can't remember which pack that's from, but I didn't like that one as much as the other one that I'm going to be changing it out for. And then this thing from Lovestruck, I just found it, I just like stumbled upon it. I think it's actually a bridge in the live edit objects. You can kind of see it in the world somewhere. I haven't explored the world of Lovestruck to tell you exactly where that thing that I put on the front of the build is from, but I am going to have to remove it when I go on the inside of this build, and the reason why is because it doesn't disappear in build mode, so I could not see what I was doing. So I'm going to remove it and then I'll place it back at the end. I did play test to see, if Sims can still walk through the door and whether it disappears in live mode, or in live mode, and Sims can walk fine through the door, doesn't bother them at all. And in live mode, if you do zoom in, it will disappear. But if you are playing from afar, I guess, it will still show up regardless of whether you're on the first floor, second floor, third floor, which can be a little bit irritating. But if you do zoom in, it should disappear. And then you can kind of see there, I kind of laid out what I wanted to do on either side. So I just drew, this is actually when I realized that this is not fully symmetrical, because one side is, I guess, wider than the other side, so I couldn't do them exactly the same, but they do not look too different to where I think it is very noticeable. And also I don't think it matters that much, actually, coming from me, who's like very precise when it comes to these things. Like, I will change an entire build if I cannot get it on the the same on the one side as it is on the other side. But I felt like it was okay for this build, But what I wanted to explain before I went on that old tangent is that I just put those plants, down in that kind of pattern, blue, pink, blue, and then the tree in the middle of the pink. And then I drew a fence around it. It's one of those black fences that is like really short, and I thought that looked better than just leaving it like that. Would be kind of unfinished leaving it like that. And then I just put these benches in the front, and I got those lights also from Discover University. And then I forget where I got those black things with a flower on the top. I think it may be from the live edit objects for Get Together, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken. And then what I do later on, I'm not sure if I showed that, because I did cut out some of the outside process, because it's a long video. I forgot to tell you, go and get a snack, go and get some tea, because we're gonna be for a while. But I promise you, everything is like really jam-packed, and I think that this bowl turned out really nicely on the inside. And then what was I gonna say about the lights? Oh yes, I'm just gonna shove the light into that flower thing at some point. I don't know if I show it, but if you go and look at the build later on, you will see how I shoved the light into that thing. It kind of looked like it could come from that, like, it looks like the light comes from where the flower is hanging on that thing. I don't know, it's not gonna make sense, but you can go and look at it when and if you download this build. And then here you would have seen that this thing that I got from Lovestruck, I don't know what to call it, structure, column structure, whatever, it had a hole on the top, and then I found this clock in, I don't remember where the clock is from. And I was like, that can actually fit perfectly into that hole. And you know, on some builds that are like, or not builds, but like places where it's kind of an important place or a public place or a stately place, I don't know what to call it, or monument or whatever, usually it will have massive clocks on it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to add the clock over there. And then I added this stone rug from Jungle Adventure. It's in the rugs category. And then that statue from Romantic Garden stuff. The benches that I added around this lot is from Life and Death. I did use a lot of Life and Death as well. I feel like it fit nicely with the theme of the build. You will see a lot of it on the inside. And then at the back, I think that part may have gone cut out, but I just added chess tables at the back because it is a requirement for a library lot to have chess tables. And I did not know that, so I just added it at the back on that balcony where you see the stairs come down on that side of the lot. And then you would have seen that I kind of removed the big structure on the front because I could not see what I was doing while I was building. And then here I'm currently building the kind of grand staircase because I do feel like this library deserves one. So what I did was I started out with a platform. Now later on, all of this is going to open up. It's kind of really very closed off at the moment, but I'm going to pass down the walls and just open up the library. I felt like it was a bit too closed. It was not really what I wanted. I know, you know, with bigger libraries, usually it is kind of very open, and it wasn't feeling welcoming with all of these walls. That's why I decided to remove them. And then the flooring that I'm using is from Get Famous, and also the staircase that you'll see me use is from Get Famous. And then I'm going to use the trim for the staircase, or the fencing for the staircase will be from Castle Estates, which is my favorite kit. It's also my first kit, so I have a very special place in my heart for Castle Estates. And if you ever download any of my builds, you'll most likely always see Castle Estates in some way. Even if it's not a castle, some way it usually makes an appearance. The only thing that I don't like about that kit is that they included, with castles, right, you'll build a lot of platforms and stuff, but they did not include a platform paint to go with the paint, or the stone paint that we get with that pack or that kit. But yeah, anyways, so obviously with a library you need a little information kiosk or assistance, or you know, a place where the librarian is to return books and whatever. Now I would have loved to place this like somewhere in front of the stairs, but the space between the stairs and door was not enough to where I could comfortably fit in an entire kiosk area, or whatever you want to call it, reception desk. Yeah, I think reception desk or admin desk. I couldn't fit it in there, so I took out the wall over here and fit it in this little nook. And I used the counters from Life and Death, and then I used the book nook shelves. I used the book nook shelves a lot in this build. And then I was trying to place a curtain on there, but I hate the curtains in this game, and I just end up removing that curtain because I didn't fit. I struggled with the curtains for so long, which is why you saw a whole section being chopped out, because I was like, nah. But you didn't miss much. I just placed 2 paintings on the wall that the door is on, or the main door is on. That's it. Everything else will be shown, and obviously I will show everything else in the screenshots. And if I don't show everything, it leaves something for you to go and explore when you go into the build, I guess, and discover. And then yeah, I just did a toilet. That's going to be the only toilet I show, but on every floor there are 2 sections for toilets, so it will either be 2 rooms with 2 toilets, or 2 rooms with 1 toilet each. But I wanted to make sure there was a lot of toilets, because in my last big build I actually discovered that Sims need to use the toilet a lot. And for some reason, my Sim, when I was playtesting this lot, she needed to use the toilet a lot. I don't know what's going on. And also, I think I've been experiencing simulation lag. I didn't even know what that was before, because I felt like it was not happening in my game. But ever since the update, I feel like it has, because when I was playtesting this lot, she would take a really long to sit down at a chair so that I could test if it worked. And that has never happened to me before. I don't know what it could be. Maybe it is a mod, because I have been getting some exceptions that I've been ignoring. So I will acknowledge that maybe it's a mod. But the thing is, I took out a majority of my mods when I updated my game, because I've heard terrible things about this update, scary things about this update. In fact, I didn't want to update, but I did update because for my build last week, to upload it to the gallery, I had to make sure that I updated my game. If you haven't seen that lot yet, such a beautiful lot. I love that lot so much. It was a restaurant with a gothic decor style or interior design style, and it was, yeah, it's just so pretty. It's definitely one of my favorites that I've ever done. So if you haven't watched that, please go and watch that after this video, and I'll also link it in the cards and in the description as well. So you can see now I am doing the first section of the library, and I use this Discover University bookshelves. I think it is the best one out of all of them, aside from the book nook shelves, because I feel like the book nook shelves are a little bit more versatile, because you get like some empty shelves, and then you get semi-empty shelves, and then you get the full bookshelf, and I just like that more. I can do more with it, and they slot to one another nicely. But I use this Discover University one because I wanted, whenever I build a library, I always gravitate towards dark wood colors. For me, it just screams library. And so that is what I am going to be doing in this library. It's going to have a lot of dark wood colors. I do try and incorporate other colors here and there, but not really. And I try to lighten it up a little bit, because it was looking dark at some points, because I made the roof or the ceiling, I made it a wood as well, and it was a bit much. You don't see it there, but later on I will go in and make it a wood. So instead of making it a wood, I actually replaced it with what you see on the floor right now, and then I went back to the marble at some point that was there initially. And so for that section, you saw that I opened it up, and then I wanted to incorporate some shorter bookshelves, because, you know, like in libraries, they'll have those shorter aisle bookshelves, and then, you know, the taller ones. So I wanted to incorporate some of that, and I was trying to figure out how I'm going to do that, because the bookshelves that we have in game are not short. So I then figured out that I'm going to use the book nook shelves, but the problem is, because they slot together, they were not slotting the way that I wanted to. So I decided to have a half hole in between them, and then use the glass trim for the half hole. I think it's called a trim, and that one is from Dine Out or Get Famous, one of the two. And then I just placed columns on either end, and I think that worked out really nicely actually. And then I placed books on top of it. Those books you can find in debug. Afterwards I thought about it, and I was like, I could have actually made it themed, like each section themed. So a certain section for this skill, and a certain section for the cults, and a certain section for love or whatever. But I only realized or thought about it afterwards, and I don't think it really matters for the Sims purposes, but I think it would have been really cool if I did that. So maybe in the next library I will do that. Like I said, only thought about it afterwards, after I'd done everything, and so I didn't want to change any more than what I had already changed. And this video, like I said, is a long video already. And then I did make one themed section. I think I mentioned that in the beginning of this video. I did make a themed section for children, and if I didn't mention that in the beginning of this video, then now you know that there's a theme section for children, I guess. And then I wanted to incorporate the seating area as well, and so I made this little seating area. Now it looked, I don't know why I left it this way, but when I came back in, I was like, why did you leave it like that? That rug is entirely too small. But in my defense, I think I was building very late at this point and sometimes things don't occur to me at the time when I'm building late at night, even though I enjoy building really late at night when the house is quiet, like it's, you know, me time. I finally have some peace. But sometimes I do things and I'm like, I come back in and I look at it and I think to myself, why did you leave it that way? So what I did was I just sized up the rug that was under the seat, or this, what do you call this, couch section, lounging section or whatever, and I think I did use a different rug though, because I felt like the other one that I had there was a bit dark. So I did change it out for something a bit lighter. And then yeah, I'm working on the other side now, and I wanted to include more of those shelves that you saw me do in that other part. And yeah, unfortunately it was kind of interfering with the windows a bit, so I do end up removing those two windows that the whole fall is casting that shadow on, and just leaving it with three of the windows, which I actually think turned out a lot better than the all of those windows that were there. And I just did the same thing on the other side of the build as well, because like I said, what I did on the one side with windows, I did on the other side with windows. So whatever I changed, I then changed on the other side as well to keep that going. And then yeah, I just included some more reading or tables, seating areas, because I do anticipate that a lot of university students will come here and use this library. Even though a lot of normal sims were here using this library, it wasn't really university sims, and there's no way in the game, I feel like, to only designate it for university sims. I know in the lot traits you can kind of set it as a study hangout, or a there's another one that has to do with students, if I'm not mistaken. You can kind of set it that way, and then maybe more students will actually be showing up at the slot. And then yeah, I did the same thing. Now, one thing that I did go in and change is, as you can see me doing now, I raised up this signage from the Cozy Bistro kit. I think it looked so nice for an older library to kind of have like the labels of what kind of books are in that section. Now, the only issue that when I went into tab mode with this lot is that the the spandrels that I had placed in between those two signs that I raised up, you couldn't really see them, or they were kind of looking like they went into the ceiling a bit. It didn't look nice. So what I did was I changed the spandrels to a different one, and I think that one is from the base game. And then I kind of dragged the signage down a bit. So I think maybe I'll put a little picture here of what I actually ended up doing with the section. And then I repeated that for every other section where I had placed those spandrels and columns. It will make sense if I put the picture here, so I'll give a little sneak peek into the end, or the screenshots that I'm going to place at the end as well, so that you can kind of get what I did at the end, just to make it look a bit better, because I do want to make sure that the screenshots looks nice, and it wasn't looking nice with the original spandrels that I had on that little short book section, whatever you want to call it. And then yeah, I just raised that up a bit just to create different levels in the library. I raised up that platform, or I raised that section up to a platform, and that was really all for this book section. And then we have the section at the back that leads out the back door, I guess you can call it. And I just put down 2 vending machines and a couch, and then 2 plants, and that was it. And then lights, obviously, so that it was nice and bright in that section. And now we're going to be moving to, I think, the second floor, and then we will go down into what is actually the first floor, but it looks like a basement kind of. And the idea for the basement is that it's updated, or that had been recently updated, and that's where we will incorporate more things about the Discover University pack. So with Discover University, it's actually the only pack that I think I've played through fully. I wanted to test the university system, and honestly, it is accurate. I was playing with this law mod or lawyer mod from Kiara Sims, so you can kind of have an active career for law with that mod, but you need a degree to become a lawyer. And so I sent my sim to university to get the degree to become a lawyer, which kind of is like real life as well, because I do have a law degree. So I sent it to university to get the law degree so that I could then make a lawyer. And so I had to play through the Discover University pack, and let me tell you, the deadlines, the stress, the anxiety of trying to get your sim to get to the next year is very accurate. I was stressing because there was so much to do, but I really did have so much fun with the pack. I do feel though that I that one thing about the pack is there's too many rabbit holes in it. Every class is a rabbit hole. It's just not the interactive experience that I wanted, even though I was already stressing with the interaction that I already had. But I would have loved to go to class with my sim and just experience that, or even at least have the skills classes be physical, or not a rabbit hole. So that's also what prompted me to then include certain things associated with universities to this library, or Discover Universities to this library. So the Discover University pack comes with a research and debate skill and then the robotics skill. So in the bottom section of this library, I'm going to create like study rooms for those skills, so that if you want to host debates, you can host debates at this library. I created a club when I was playtesting the lot for a research and debate club. And so I then selected this as the club hangout basically, and the sims went in there and they were practicing debating and stuff. And so you can do the same with a robotics skill. Or if, for example, I didn't go to Foxbury University, I went to the other one, which I don't remember at the moment, and the research and debate was actually part of my, I guess, curriculum, yeah, to pass, or for my sim to pass. And so what I would have loved is then if I had to practice that skill, that I would have had to go somewhere, or research for that skill, that I could have gone somewhere to do so. And so that's why I built the library, so that if you are playing with a sim that's at university, that they have somewhere to go to do those things, if that makes sense. So on the top section, I just included more books. Like, you're going to see a lot of books obviously in the library. And then for this section over here, I wanted to use different kinds of bookshelves to kind of indicate that maybe it's different books dealing with different topics. So you would have seen there was one section with the bookshelves from Life and Death. This other section that I just finished now was with bookshelves from Crystal Creations. The bookshelves downstairs was the Book Nook and then the Discover University books. And then in the other section that I'll do shortly, I will do one with the Strangerville book set, and then I'll go back to Life and Death, because at that point I ran out of bookshelves that I liked. And then yeah, I just wanted to, as you come up the staircase, right, you look into the section that you see right now. So I decided to create like a conversation pit at the library. And yeah, just did that. I used the base game couch. The other one is from Lovestruck, and then those two single chairs are from armchairs are from Life and Death. And then here I had this small little corner, and I felt like it was the perfect little corner for maybe like a kids book area. I found in debug, for all of those other books that I was placing around, there was kids books. So I wanted to create a section where kids can come and read. Now there aren't a lot of kids that spawn in the world already, so I think this would only really work if you brought a kid here. But I mean, then they would have something to do. And if you just heard a really loud sound, it's because I knocked my phone, because I'm talking with my hands, and it's something that I try to avoid doing, because sometimes the audio does pick up when I talk with my hands. But it's just like, I think it's like a nervous thing that I do when I record, because I still do get nervous, surprisingly, and so then I talk with my hands. But anyways, I apologize for any loud noises. So there you can see I did the same thing that I've been doing with the whole fall and then the bookshelves. And then I placed those books that I found from debug on there, and they are all kids books, so kind of fitting for the section. And then any other book that was kind of kid-like, I also placed in here. Placed down some of these chairs that I got from the kids section. I think that's just a base game chair as well, and adults can sit in it as well, because I did play test it with my sim and she had no problem sitting in them. And then I just placed down the cushion as well from, I think that's backyard stuff. And then these bookshelves from, I really wanted a excuse to use those 3 bookshelves, and it made sense in the kids area. Those are from Enchanted by Nature. And then yeah, I had this final section. At this point, I'm kind of running out of ideas to, make book section. So I wanted to create a section where sims can actually sit down and read and or study, in the library. I just added those bookshelves from Life and Death again. And then these single desks are from businesses and hobbies, as well as the chairs. And then I just placed down those lights as well. I think that light may be either Cozy Bistro or it may be the one from Life and Death. They look very similar, so I'm not sure which ones they are. And then I just placed down the column there because with the half walls, they look very unfinished on the sides of them. So I was using the columns to kind of finish it up and frame it, so that it looks better. And then these bookshelves are from Strangerville. Yeah. And then I forgot that I'd added 2 toilets on either side. Now, all of the toilets look the same. It uses the exact same toilet from Discover University, one of those cubicle toilets. It uses the exact same base game sink. And then I also used the soap dispensers and then the paper towels and then a bin. But I used the automatic bin because if Sims ever go in there and throw things away, I don't want trash to be anywhere. So I always use the automatic bins that like returns money to your Sims if they use it. I use those in all of my builds because I don't like trash being anywhere in the build. And then I had these 2 spaces over here. So I know this is probably a thing at a lot of university libraries, but at our library we had study rooms that we could kind of rent for a few hours. And I remember there was one day, like before an exam, a group of us kind of rented one to have discussions, which I actually didn't prefer discussions before exams, but I made an exception because we really was struggling with something, and the only way to kind of figure it out was to discuss it together. And so we booked that room. So that is kind of the same idea. I don't know how you would make that work in the Sims. Like maybe if you just came here as a group with your university friends and you studied in the room or did homework or whatever, then there are 2 rooms. The 2 rooms are decorated the exact same way, so that's why I only showed one. And then I placed down those bookshelves, lined them up, but then there was this large space in between. So instead I included a high top table with chairs and so on. And I actually found it really cute when I came up here while I was playtesting the lot that one of the Sims was sitting down at that high top table and reading. I like seeing the Sims interact with the builds that I make. It makes me so happy for some reason, and it's so weird because I mean these are just like virtual little beings, that are interacting with virtual things, but they make me so happy. So downstairs, this is now on the basement slash first floor area. I had a lot of space. At this point, I was like, oh, I made this library too big, which is always an issue with me. I would rather do something too big than too small and then not have enough space for everything that I want to include. But now I had this huge open area and I was like, okay, let's just include a cafe, which usually you will not have these kind of things in a library because I think rules in the library would include not to eat or bring drinks in or whatever. But I'm going to make an exception for this library. And I know there's probably libraries in different parts of the world or wherever that do have eating sections. I mean, you get bookstores with eating sections as well. So it's not a foreign concept, but I did feel a little bit weird including this cafe. However, I did like it that when I hired a vendor, that the Sims actually came and they bought coffee and they were sitting down and having conversations. I liked it, so that's why I decided to keep it. And then for that back section there, you would have seen that I used the chairs from Cozy Bistro, but I ended up replacing that with the ones that I placed on the square table on the side, on the other side that I just moved right now. I used those chairs from Life and Death for all of the other tables except for the high top tables in this room. And then I used this signage from Cozy Bistro, and then I'm gonna place, I think, a sign on the top as well. There we go. That I've been using out throughout the library as well. Yeah, I used the same counters that I used in the reception desk area because I kind of wanted to keep everything the same. The chandeliers, I think this one is from Businesses and Hobbies. And then yeah, you can see I'm using another or a different book what do you call this, bookshelf, which is from, I think that may be from Get to Work, I don't know. This one is from High School Years, if I'm not mistaken. And then I just included another seating area. This is the rug that I used upstairs in that first part of the library where I told you I changed the rug. And then here I used the one that was originally there, if that makes any sense. So I kind of swapped the rugs out because I like this one more here, and then the other one that I had previously down here I put up there. Hopefully I'm making sense. And then for the seating area, I just ended up using a lot of base game couches, or apparently base game seating options. And then the table in the middle is from I think it may be from what's the Growing Together, yes. And then the side tables that you see me place down now is from Crystal Creations, with the plant in the middle being from that pack that we got, or the kit that we got with Peerism. I used a lot of the books from that kit in here. I do use that kit a lot, so definitely comes highly recommended by me to buy that kit. I always forget the name of it though. Refined Living, I think it's called. Yeah. And then I use that statue, which is from the base game, and then I just use this painting, which is from Cats and Dogs. And then here I made a computer lab, and this is the Sims favorite section to hang out in, obviously, because it has computers. There was so many Sims in here when I was playtesting the lot, which I love to see. And for this one, I'm gonna kind of go with some quirky colors, because at this point I feel like I was browned out basically. And hopefully that doesn't mean something else, because that does sound a little weird. Anyways, so I just used the paneling from this one. The wood one is from Businesses and Hobbies, and then the other one is from Growing Together. And then I use this carpet, and this carpet is kind of like what inspires the colors in here, or the colorfulness of this section. And I really wanted to use this light. This light is from Discover University, and also the carpet is from Discover University. And so I'm going to go around and try and incorporate those colors into this computer lab, I guess you can call it. And I use this desk from Dream Home Decorator. They actually slot together, which is really nice. And then the chairs are from this, no, not Discover University, from Businesses and Hobbies. I really like this chair, and I decided to use, I kind of mixed the wood swatches in this computer lab, which I usually don't mix wood swatches. I don't even like mixed metals. Like, I'm a silver girly, so I never really mix gold and silver, and I really, if ever, wear gold because I think silver suits better. So the same thing with wood for me. I don't like different kinds of colors of woods together, but yeah, I actually didn't mind it at all. I liked how this turned out, surprisingly. I was kind of on the fence, so I was asking my sister, like, what do you think? Like, does this look right? At one point I was like, I'm just gonna, remove the whole thing, but I decided not to do so and keep it because it did end up looking cute, I guess. And then here I use the high top tables from Businesses and Hobbies, and then I use these chairs. They're from high school years, I think, and I like the yellow in them. And then I wanted to kind of separate off each computer area, because that's what I kind of remember from certain sections in our library at university, is we had sectioned off computer spaces. And so I use this paneling from Businesses and Hobbies in that dark brown swatch. But yeah, it was a little bit too big. So I used the tallest wall height version and then just sized it down so that it looked like a normal wall height version, I guess. And then I just placed that in between each computer desk. And the reason why I just came from nowhere is because for some reason the game booted me to a different section of the map, and I had to find my way back to where I was building. I don't know what went wrong. And so yeah, I had some extra space, so I decided to add a separate table. And then for some of the tables I ended up removing some of the computers, so that if your sim came with their own laptop they could use it, or if their sim was just looking for a place to read, that they could use those desks. So you'll see that I kind of removed some of the computers from certain sections off, and I kind of nudged the tables a little bit into the partition so that it looked like one continuous table that's just like separated by these dividers. I like the look of that more, and that's why I did it that way. And then I just placed down some more bookshelves. These ones are from Get to Work, and then the lights are from bowling alley. I think the bowling alley pack, whatever it's called. And then I decided to change those bookshelves into a darker black just to make it more dark in here. And then I'm gonna add that painting. I don't know where that painting is from. I don't remember which pack that painting is from, but it kind of fit with, I feel like, the rug in this place, so that's why I use that painting. And then I use this table from Growing Together, and then once again the chairs from Businesses and Hobbies, and then I just decorated it with a few things on the table. And so now we are in the debate skills room, so you can even have skills classes with, you know, the section. And if you wanted to, you can have this, you can have someone own this library in the world, and then come here as like as a small business with Businesses and Hobbies, and then come here as a customer. So then you don't have to hire the barista, you don't have to hire, I don't think you would have to hire teachers or whatever for the skills classes. I'm not sure, I haven't tested that skills class element from Businesses and Hobbies, like from the customer's perspective. So you have someone own this build, and then if they hired like people to do the skills classes, if you then came here as a customer, would they be there? I just included the what you call this, the board for like decoration in this lot, because my idea is that you come here with clubs and you'll come here to study and stuff, but you could have robotics and also research and debate skills classes, if I remember correctly. I know that you can do robotics because I saw that in the list, but I don't remember if you can do research and debate. I think I saw that in the list as well of things that you can teach from the board. So I just placed down the podiums that we got with Discover University, and then usually I was looking up like what usually the debate things look like, because I've never done debates and all of those things. So usually they'll have two tables on either side, and then two tables facing the podiums, or tables facing the podiums for those who are watching. So that's kind of the format that I followed there. And then we also got with the university pack or Discover University, we got this research archive machine thing that you see placed in the tables there. So if Sims need to do research, which I think is definitely some of the tasks that, if I remember correctly from when I played through this pack, which has been a while ago, researching on these archives was actually one of the tasks that, you know, you would have to do. And so you can either come here. I remember when I was playing through the pack, I went to the common room that was on, or the common area that was on the on the campus. I'm struggling at the moment because I'm 47 minutes into recording or speaking nonstop, so forgive me for that, but I used the one that was on the campus. So now if I wanted to play through the pack again, I would probably come here instead to do research, because I like it more. I was thinking of redoing some of the common rooms, but I just wanted to do this big build first, or this library first, because like I said, I've been wanting to redo the library. So I included more of bookshelves in here as well. I guess all of the books here will kind of center around language, debate, certain topics for debate, whatever. I included a trophy case, so that if it is kind of the hub of the debate club or whatever, those are the things that they won. And then I just included these filing cabinets from Get to Work, just because I had that open part over there. And then I also included a mirror, because I think the charisma skill has something to do with debating, if I am not mistaken. I said that a lot during this video, but I may be mistaken. So then I am now doing the robotics class. So this is for robotics clubs or studying robotics if they need to up this skill in robotics or whatever. I did, like I said, I didn't go to the Foxbury Institute, which is, I think, the one that centers around robotics or tech or whatever. So I didn't get to play through that part of Discover University, but hopefully I will be able to play through it sometime soon. And so yeah, I just followed the same kind of style for the classroom. So I'm gonna place the board on a platform. Like I said, I didn't really place the board here with the intention of actually having skill classes. Like if you can have skill classes, then I guess that's an added bonus, but the board is just there for show, I guess. You know, like when you're studying and whatever, one person or having group study sessions. Usually you'll write certain ideas on the board. That's kind of what I was going for with this, you know, classroom, study room, whatever. And yeah, so I think that is all really for this build. But let me know what you think about this idea, and then also if you have any, other ideas that if a pack comes up that would go well with that pack. Like for example, I was thinking of more unique ideas with packs. So with eco lifestyle, I haven't played through the skill for eco lifestyle, the juicing skill or the candle making skill, so I think I need to play through that a bit. But I was thinking that if eco lifestyle comes up, wouldn't it be nice that if in that world, or because in that world it is very like factory industrial kind of world, to build a juicing and candle making factory, and then you can kind of run it as a small business, which is also why I didn't want to limit the pack, because I know with certain builds I want to have cross pack play or whatever, so that I can create like businesses and shops or restaurants incorporating certain ideas of a different pack, but using the mechanics of a certain pack, like Get to Work or Businesses and Hobbies or whatever other pack, for it to make sense, if you get what I mean, So let me know what are your ideas for whatever pack may come up, with the series, because I know that I may run into some challenges sometimes with coming up with ideas, but I'm very excited about it because, like I said previously, I do really enjoy building community lots. I think that's where I have the most fun, and so that's why I want to continue with the series all the way through all the expansion packs, and then maybe even doing the game packs after, and then maybe the stuff packs. But that is all for today's video. Let me know what you think, and also you can find this build under SimWithMishka or hashtag SimWithMishka on the gallery. Like I said, if you have any other ideas, please consider popping those in the comments, and please also consider subscribing and liking this video if you do enjoy my content and you would like to see more. Thank you so much for being here, and I will chat to you in the next one. Bye bye.